6 wins by knockout, 2 submissions, 5 decisions at just 23 years of age. Is Joshua Van any good? As we're met with the crushing reality that many legends will soon leave the sport, say hello to these new types of prospects that will keep us company for years to come. Joshua Van is this new era of flyweight built on heavy pressure striking and comes from a boxing background. The jab is sharp, he thrives in the pocket, and builds as the fight goes on. And don't be fooled by his decision wins in the UFC. He's very much beating the piss out of his opponents, and they are very entertaining bouts. His supreme athleticism and strike output is something to be admired for his youth in the game. His exciting style blends creative shot selection with tactical pot shotting. And other than a nightmare matchup against an oversized Charles Johnson, Van's UFC record is clean, and he's now on his way into the top 10 in just his second year with the company. It's a real shame he hasn't been rewarded with a performance bonus yet, but at least he's not being lowballed with matchups, and the UFC is respecting his activity and letting him climb. Van began his MMA journey after his family relocated from Myanmar to Houston, Texas, where he stormed through regionals and became a champion at just 20 years old with a record of 7-1 with 7 finishes. Myanmar is the birthplace of the most brutal martial art known to man, in my opinion, Lethwei. It's essentially bare-knuckle kickboxing with headbutts. MMA looks like child's play in comparison. And while his finish rate in the UFC has been low, Joshua Van has put forth some diabolical punch counts so far. He's the type of fighter you're going to want to tune in for every single time. A young, hungry striker on a rampage through the rankings. Let's talk Joshua Van, flyweight's most exciting new prospect who's already 5-1 in the promotion at just 23 years of age. A boxer with relentless offense, striking variety, and grit. Strike accuracy, 55%, strikes landed per minute, 8.1. Joshua Van currently holds 2 UFC records, highest strike rate with 8.1, formerly 8.8, and the highest strike differential at 125 of 2.8. Which basically means you hit him once, he hits you 3 times. Strikes absorbed per minute, 5.2. Now, Van is a small guy with a not so impressive ape index, so he is there to be countered, and this number reflects that. Takedown average, 1.1. Great to see Van mix in the takedown. Submission average of 0, takedown accuracy of 64%, strike defense of 60%, takedown defense of 81%. Solid defense stats, complemented by Joshua's unique high guard and sprawl game. Knockdown average, 0.1. The KO hasn't come easy for him, but I'm giving this a pass because it's flyweight. Attrition-based TKOs are definitely in Joshua Van's future. Average fight time, 13 minutes, 33 seconds. Strengths are slick boxing, steady pressure, supreme athlete. Weaknesses are low-level gym and a small frame. Best performance was against Cody Durden. Van stuffed all the wrestling attempts made by Durden and forced him into a pure striking match. This is often the game plan every time with Van. He did something similar against Ray Saruya as well, who, if they can't get their grappling off, Van will chew them up on the feet. He's too comfortable in the pocket with great reflexes and always throws in combination. I find some similarities in a young Max Holloway, where their volume starts to snowball into a beautiful looking beatdown. To Durden's credit, he did his best not to mentally break and stayed competitive, and this made the fight quite fun. Rounds 2 and 3, Van absolutely cooked and broke his own strike record of 165 significant strikes in a 15-minute bout. Most fun, Edgar Chairez. In the historic Las Vegas sphere, Josh Van put the ultimate ass-whooping on newcomer Edgar Chairez, who rocked Van in moments, but found it hard to capitalize on these moments due to Josh's grit. Whereas when Van bounced back and poured on some nasty bodywork in return, Chairez didn't have the same durability, being drained from his weight cut and weak to the liver. What followed was yet another avalanche of volume from Josh, yet again surpassing 100 significant strikes. It's these early moments that are building a really solid foundation for his career and what will develop his fan base over time. He may not have been the hometown hero here, but he gave us all watching at home a real treat and also left the sphere with yet another victory. Kevin Borjas. Now, Borjas dropped Van in the first round, but still fell apart in the later rounds once Josh yet again recovered and got back to his volume. He He turned the tides of this battle with body shots. He has a real knack for getting real low and just sneaking shots into the sternum, to the liver, which is a great way to sap your opponent's cardio away from them. And Josh seems to have this figured out. You know, he's a shorter guy. He can really cut the angles well, dip down, and just tear the body up. Let's speak on Josh's lone loss in the UFC against Charles Johnson. We finally saw Van struggle against a big, nimble stance switcher in Charles Johnson, who had a great performance against him. Inner G did a great job using his reach and swiftness at avoiding the brawl with Josh, and kept his composure along the way. Van did his best to find his way on the inside and cut the cage off, but Charles was too big and too evasive. Finally, in the third round, Johnson wobbled Josh and knocked him down and out with a sneaky uppercut. In hindsight, Johnson is probably one of the tougher matchups for Van, standing very tall for a 125er and just being a high cardio mover. As for the fight itself, it's a great fight, and I don't want to take anything away from Charles Johnson. It was a phenomenal performance. Being his first and only loss in the UFC, I hope Van took this loss well and ironed out his skills in the gym even further. And he has youth on his side, so losses aren't the end of the career by any means, but knockouts never age a fighter well long term. What Joshua Van currently lacks in experience or expertise, he makes up for with raw athleticism and talent. I find his hand speed a real joy to watch. He's hard to control, and the longer the fight goes, the more pain he dishes out. I believe cross-training or moving to a more high-level gym, like maybe Fortis or Extreme, those are both nearby, could do him wonders moving forward. As his current head coach is Daniel Pineda, a former UFC journeyman. And when I say the future is bright, I mean it. If things go well for him, and I think they will, his style will resonate with all types of viewers. The early hunger is there, he's not out partying and pulling Jonesisms, he's dedicated, from what I can observe, and his style is must-see television. He fights Bruno Silva this weekend, an older fighter, but very knowledgeable about the game, and both are likely to be tested here. My pick will be Joshua Van by TKO in the third round. We saw Bruno Silva struggle with speed and finesse from Manel Kape, and I think Joshua Van, while less experienced, can pull something off similar, and pull ahead with the volume and cause real damage in round 3. I think Joshua Van has an incredible career ahead of him, and I will give him A tier off of what I've seen so far. I think he's headed for stardom, and at the very least, he will be a fighter that you're always just happy is on the card. But you better believe, we're Team Van, all the way. As always, thank you guys for watching. Drop your favorite Joshua Van moment down below. And let's talk about his career and how far you think he can go. MMA makes no fucking sense, but I'm out here trying to put it all together. Until next time.